Like a lot of other hobbies, disc golf can be pretty daunting and confusing to get into at first, with all the different companies, discs, plastics, flight numbers, different weights that you can buy. It's hard to know what you should possibly buy when you're first getting into it. You might also be playing with your friends and see them carrying around a bag like this, which is fully customized, has a million different Tour Series discs inside, whale sacks, towels, range finders, extra compartments, grabbers, all these different things. And I'm here to tell you that you don't need any of those things when you first start playing. When I started playing, I had this guy right here. It was a hand-me-down. I bought it off my cousin for 30 bucks, and he gave me a couple discs inside with it as well. One of them was this beast right here. This, which I also think is a beast, but I've never figured out what disc it is because it was pulled out of a pond. A bunch of other discs. This Judge right here is actually the first putter I ever used. You don't need anything special or fancy. Something like this will work just fine. Now, I have a recommendation for all the discs and the bag that you're gonna need, but even something like this, a satchel, whatever this even is, I don't know what it's called, will work perfectly fine. I would probably recommend more of a backpack type, which is what I eventually moved on to after this, but really just something that'll carry your discs will do the job for you. So to make all of this way easier for you, I'm gonna give you the perfect beginner bag for $100, and this will cover everything you're gonna need on the course. It's gonna be the bag itself, and every disc you're gonna need from putting to mid-range to driving. It's gonna get you covered on all your bases, and you'll be able to throw pretty much any throw you're gonna want, and then you could build off of that foundation as you just start to discover what works for you and what preferences you have or what discs you like. If you wanna buy any of these discs that I'm gonna list or anything else, go to otbdisc.com, use code Tyler at checkout and you can get 10% off. I'll have links to everything in the description, make it super easy for you, and you can browse around for some other stuff as well. Now, in terms of plastic, I'm gonna recommend certain plastic for certain discs. This is kind of my personal preference. It's not gonna change too much from plastic to plastic. Obviously, base plastic is gonna beat in really quickly and become overstable. You're probably gonna have to replace sooner. More premium plastic like Star or Champion or Z or whatever all the other different ones for different companies are, those are gonna stay more stable for longer and last a lot longer. So usually for drivers, I'll say go with the premium plastic and mid-ranges usually, and then for more approach or putters, you can go with base plastic. When I first bought discs, I didn't know what plastic was, basically. I didn't understand that there was different plastics. I think one of the first discs I ever bought was a Shrike, and I bought it because it looked cool, and I didn't really understand the difference between the plastic. It's right here. It was hanging up on my wall behind me. I don't throw it anymore, and it is a 13 speed, which I was throwing when I could barely throw over 300 feet. So I'm gonna help you not make the mistake that I did in buying a disc that was way too much for what my arm could do at the time. Now, for a bag, I'd recommend something similar to this. I'm not gonna recommend this specific one because I have one that's, I think, a little bit better, but something small, has a couple little compartments on the side, put your putters on top, your other discs down here in this compartment. This is what my girlfriend uses. It was my second bag that I bought for myself after getting into the sport a little bit. Like I said, you can carry around a satchel as well, but in my experience, something like a backpack is a little bit more comfortable, and they're usually pretty much the same price. Now for my bag recommendation, I'm gonna go with the Latitude 64 Swift. I bought that for my brother for Christmas to get him into disc golf. It's been working for him really well. It's usually on sale right now on Amazon. It's $30. I'll have an affiliate link in the description, so if you wanna buy it, go to the link, gives me a little bit of kickback, and you can get yourself a nice bag. Like I said, I got it for my brother. It's been working great for him, and you don't need anything super special for a bag. As long as it holds your disc, stays together, it'll do fine for you. All right, so we have the bag already. It's $30. Now let's go with a putting putter. I'm gonna have a throwing putter and a putting putter. I think you should try to keep your putting putter in decent shape and use it for putting, and then have more of a throwing putter. You can choose not to do this and then knock another disc off of your list and have it be even cheaper, but I'm gonna include them because I think it's a good habit to get into. So I'm gonna go with the Judge. This is my first putter. I think the one I have listed below is an EMAC Judge. It's 10 bucks. This one was probably around the same price. This is a classic blend Judge. It's a good disc, has a bead on it, has a nice low profile rim, pretty comfortable, easy to get into. Really, you can throw any putter when you start throwing. Everyone's gonna have different preferences, so pretty much grab any base plastic putter for around 10 bucks and that'll get you started. For a throwing putter, I don't actually own one of these, but I've thrown them before and I have plenty of friends that throw them, and it's pretty similar to this right here, which is a beat up Envy, but I would recommend getting a Electron Proxy that is very similar to this beat up Envy because It's almost the same disc, but it's just flippier out of the box. So that's gonna be great for someone who doesn't have as much power, wants to be able to hyzer flip a putter or get it to turn over a little bit more easier with a weaker arm. That's gonna be $13. So a little bit more expensive, but it's kind of more of a putter that tends to be used for throwing and not for putting, and then you can keep those separate. Moving on to our approach disc. So this is kind of like a mid-range / overstable approach disc or putter. And this is the first approach disc that I bought, and it's what I use to this day, and many people also swear by, which is the Zone. So the Z Zone is what I'm gonna recommend. You want this to stay overstable, you want it to be grippy, so you can throw forehands and backhands with it. It's a reliable, overstable approach disc. You really can't go wrong with it. All right, moving on to the mid-range. This is gonna be a relatively neutral flying mid-range. Typically, you're gonna throw it backhand. You can throw it forehand if you want to. Just gonna throw it straight. You can turn it over, put it on hyzer. It's gonna be able to do a lot for you, and it's gonna fly a little bit further than your putter, but isn't quite gonna be in that driver range. Now I'm gonna go with Discraft again, because I think they have probably the best mid-range in the game, which is the Buzz. I'm gonna go with the Z Buzz again, because it's gonna stay in better shape for longer, has good grip in my opinion, and this is what I bag right now. And in fact, it's also one of the first mid-ranges I ever bought, which I also have hanging on my wall. So this was my first Buzz that I ever bought. I don't use it anymore because it's not max weight. And also I just like hanging up old keepsakes on my wall. Yeah, Z Buzz, great disc, straight flying, great to learn with. And last up, we're gonna have the Fairway driver. Now, a lot of people are gonna say when you first get started, you probably should only throw putters in mid-ranges. Obviously, I threw a 13 speed when I started playing, so there's a whole different range of things you can do. I think it's fun to throw faster discs, and you should learn how to do it early on. So I'm gonna stick with a 6 to 7 speed range. You can go a little higher if you want, but I think you should typically stay probably around 6 or 7, maxing out when you first start, and then work your way up as you can throw further. So the fairway I'm gonna pick is the Leopard. Now, I only have this old DX Leopard, but I'm actually gonna recommend to get a Champion Leopard. Again, like I said in the beginning of the video, you wanna have something that's gonna stay in good shape for a while and have the same stability out of the box and like months down the road. Leopard's gonna be a great sort of hyzer flip to straight flying disc, especially for a beginner. You can throw it backhand and forehand, although it's gonna be a little bit more suited for a backhand dominant player. I have added in a little extra disc that you can change out for this one if you wanna go forehand. We're gonna stay same plastic, same company, around the same speed. It's gonna be a Champion T-Bird. T-Bird's another disc that I threw early on when starting to play disc golf. It can be good for forehands. I don't typically throw it on forehands now, but it's a pretty good disc to learn forehands on. I typically feel like slightly more overstable or like neutral flying is good for forehands. You don't really want to be throwing super understable, or at least for me, it's a little bit easier, although you can throw pretty much anything forehand or backhand. This is just kind of, if you're more of a forehand dominant player, T-Bird might be for you, or if you just want a little bit more overstability, and if you want something a little bit flippier, or maybe throw a bit better backhand, Leopard's gonna be good for you. And all 3 of those last discs, so the Zone, the T-Bird, the Leopard, and the Buzz, are all $16 a piece. So that rounds everything up to $101. So for just about 100 bucks, you can get everything you're gonna need to play disc golf, plus a bag. You know, you get into golf and you have to buy a whole set of clubs and balls and pay to go on the course. You're spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Someone who grew up playing hockey, I know how much money you can drop into a hobby before you even have the chance to be able to do it. So it's nice that even at 100 bucks, you can get into disc golf and pretty much have all of your bases covered. And you could take all these discs out to the course and play for a year or years and never have to expand on them. I'm not saying these are the discs you're gonna use forever, or even you're gonna like them a month from now, but this will be a great way to get started, learn what you can throw. It's all pretty neutral flying, pretty easy to throw. Now, the one thing I didn't talk about is disc weight. Now, I think you should go with the plastics I told you, although if you want to cheap out, you can get base plastic for everything, or if you want to have premium plastic putters, go for it, no one's stopping you. But in terms of disc weight, I would say if you feel like you can throw pretty decently, if you feel like you're generally a strong person, you can go with max weight. These are all gonna work for you. They might be kind of hard to throw, especially if you're only used to throwing like a Frisbee or something, but you will eventually figure it out. However, if you're someone maybe similar to my girlfriend who can't really throw as well, and even if she has understable discs, she can struggle getting them to go straight for a while, I would recommend going a little bit less weight with the discs. So if I look into her bag right now, we have this Shark that she likes to throw. It's 147 grams. It's fantastic for someone with a slightly weaker arm, and there's no shame in throwing lighter discs. I would say from 140 to the 150 range is probably where you want to go if you want to go on the lighter side, and you can kind of just gauge based on how well you think you can throw, and then if you want to go on the heavier, 160 to 175 will do fine. Again, that's my beginner bag. You can go to otbdisc.com, use code Tyler, 10% off, buy everything you need. Amazon affiliate link for the bag. I hope that helped some new people get into the sport. If you have any questions, leave in the comments. I can give some more recommendations or tips, and subscribe if you haven't, liked the video, comment, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Hey, so special thanks to my patrons. If you want to become a patron as well, you can check in the video description, subscribe to my Patreon. You'll get your name on the end of every video here, access to our Discord, and exclusive content, as well as other tiers that give you access to monthly giveaways, monthly form reviews, and ability to vote on what stuff I'm going to be making videos about. So yeah, go check that out. Go in the description, check out my Patreon if you want to help me out a little bit. Okay, yep, this has gone on long enough. Bye.